Hi guys. Um, I'm working again, so I figured I'd make another video because I find it very relaxing for myself and hopefully for you as well to just talk while I work. Um, so this video is about the 12th house, specifically Venus, the planet of love, and what happens when it falls into your 12th house. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this is about astrology. I'm sure you know your star sign, but this is your Venus sign and the house that it's in. So if you're curious to find out yours, you can go to astrotheme.com, put in your birth date, time of birth, blah, 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 and you will find your Venus and the house that it's in. This is about people who know that their Venus is in the 12th house and they are suffering tremendously because, that's just what we have to do when we have Venus in the 12th house. I have Venus in the 12th house. I know exactly what I'm talking about right now. So, what happens when Venus falls into your 12th house? Well, Venus is the planet of love. In our chart, Venus shows almost, well, coupled with the moon, it gives you an idea of how you fall in love. For a man in his chart, the Venus sign might indicate of the woman that he is attracted to. Not necessarily the woman that he is meant to be with, that's more like your moon sign and your Juno, but Venus is like what he finds beautiful, So if a man has Venus in Scorpio, he will be kind of attracted to a very intense, very passionate kind of woman. Usually they have like dark hair, kind of like goth girls. But that's like, a big stereotype. It could just be an intense blonde, or an intense Barbie doll. I don't know. But yeah. Venus in the 12th house for men and women, regardless, share common traits. The first trait being that because Venus is the planet of love and the 12th house is it's basically the opposite of your first house. Your first house is, if you have Venus in your first house, you can be like a charmer, a womanizer, like Casanova kind of person, like everyone just naturally falls in love with you because your Venus is sitting on your ascendant, so everyone can see it, you know? And that's why people tend to fall for these people with Venus on the ascendant. Now, the 12th house is the last house of the zodiac. So it's the house, basically the last house before death. And so all the things that are in the 12th house don't really get expressed. So Venus in the 12th house can be interpreted as somebody who may be beautiful, but people don't see your beauty, straight away, like right off the bat, they don't see your beauty. Unless you have Venus very close to your first house, like within 10 degrees, right, of your first house, then like that Venus will start showing in your physical appearance, in your ascendant. But if you have Venus like deep into your 12th house, chances are most people will kind of overlook you, you know? You can still be a very attractive person, but like that Venus energy is kind of overlooked. And another thing is, you might not even find yourself attractive. You might look at those people with Venus in the first and be like, wow, they're so pretty, they're so beautiful, I wish I was like that. Even though you can be extremely beautiful, and a lot of people might tell you, like, you're such a handsome guy, you're such a beautiful girl, but it's almost like you don't believe them. It's almost like you think they're lying to you. And it's very sad in a way, but it's not hopeless. Like, you can climb your way out of the loop, But that's what a 12th house that's how 12th house planets manifest. That's how they are. Like, you're just not gonna believe in yourself as much. Um, and because the 12th house is all about kind of secrets, isolation, and seclusion, you can be very, very prone to like idealizing your perfect partner, right? The problem with this is that like every Venus 12th house or Venus in Pisces person has like this perfect image of their ideal partner in their head, right? But unfortunately, you don't have ideal partners in reality, you know? And this is where the trouble starts, because when this Venus is faced with the gruesome, like day-to-day reality, let's say she got with a prince, right? Like in her mind, it's a prince. And when you start living together, you're going to start to see the bad aspects of people. You're going to start to see, I don't know, what if you're going through the laundry and you find that his underwear has like skid marks on it or something, For, for Pisces and Venus, that's like, like the fantasy is ruined. They have this, it's all about idealizing their perfect partner or their perfect happiness, and because that's so impossible and unattainable, they become easily dissatisfied and disappointed in their crushes and in their relationships. Like when you're both just chilling on the couch and, I don't know, eating pizza, like a Taurus Venus might, feel like, oh my God, this is amazing. A Pisces Venus or a Venus in the 12th house might feel like, excuse me, but where's the romance? Like, I don't, want to sit here in greasy sweats, like eating pizza with you. Like, I want insane love, I want this magical fairy tale that I dreamt up in my head. Like, where is that? That's the kind of love that I want. What is this? I don't want to, watch TV with you and eat pizza. And it's just so unattainable, you guys. It's so unattainable. And I'm not judging you because I have this placement as well. So I know exactly what I mean. And it almost feels like we're never happy with the partners that we have. On the flip side, this Venus is very capable of unconditional love. Okay, this is like the paradox, right? We're so picky, but we're so capable of this unconditional love. Most people are not capable of unconditional love. They're not. They're capable of conditional love. I will love you if only you did this, if only you had a better haircut, if only you made more money, if only you weren't such a bum, if only you treated me like X, Y, and Z, then I will love you. If you do this and this and that, I will stop loving you, or I will leave you, or I'm not happy. It's a very kind of normal thing to do in our society, right? But the 12th house Venus isn't like this. The 12th house Venus love is almost like heaven like, it's almost godlike. Like God, well, let's hypothetically speaking, right? Biblically, I mean, anyway, Jesus forgives all our sins, right? And Jesus, astrologically, is kind of like the symbol of Pisces, which is the ruler of the 12th house. So it's almost like the 12th house is like this godly, worldly, unconditional love. You may be a drug addict, you may be a criminal. Like Pisces in the 12th house Venus believes that everyone should be forgiven, regardless of their faults. This is like the person who gives the most second chances. Like, I don't think this person has a limit to how many chances they give. They give unlimited chances. It's just like you mess up and they will say, okay, try it again, try it again, try it again. Like, it's almost like they will never quit you, which is a good thing and a bad thing. These people can be very easily exploited, especially because the Pisces Venus, or Venus in the 12th house, is naturally an empath. We tend to attract a lot of narcissists who love to use us, because an empath is primarily like a Pisces, a 12th house person, and a narcissist is a first house person, a very egotistical person, very selfish. So when these two meet, it's almost like the ideal narcissist empath toxic relationship. So people do take advantage of our selflessness and of our generosity, and our desire and will to volunteer and help the needy. We get pleasure from doing things like that. We like to see harmony and peace and just very godly things, very spiritual kind of mindset. Most people, they don't have this mindset. And like, as you're younger, you tend to think like, oh, everyone's like me, everybody like wants to be nice, everybody wants to love, and nobody would want anyone to get hurt. That's just insane. But when you get older, you realize that actually it's you. Like, we are rare. Everyone else, or most other people, actually just care about themselves. And it's kind of like a shock to our system, because we think that everyone's like this, but they're not. And Venus in the 12th house, and 12th house people in general, are actually very rare. We're definitely a rare breed, you know and so we really have to like protect each other, because this world is so cruel, and it's like we are almost heavenly and divine because we have this Jesus energy, so to speak. And other people just don't have that. They just don't. And that's the hardest part for a 12th houser to come to terms with. It's very difficult. So Venus in the 12th house in this world feels like an angel that is not fallen, but an angel that tripped and fell from like the platform of heaven, tripped and fell down to this earth, and is kind of shocked at what he's seeing. Like, people stepping over each other to get the best job, and, kind of like not really caring about their brother or sister, so to speak, just caring about themselves. We are very shocked at what we see in this world. And because of that, there's a lot of suffering, there's a lot of pain, because there's so much that we want to do, like to help these people, right? And it's almost like we can't, because these people don't want our help, if that makes sense. Like, and it's like people would rather be cruel. It kind of reminds me of like the biblical texts, when Jesus sort of came and tried to educate people that they should be nice and blah, blah, blah. And then what happened to him, you know? And that's kind of how it feels like. We are like, being nice in this world is considered wrong. Like, we're supposed to be evil like everyone else, or like, selfish. Let's say selfish. I don't want to call people evil, even though there are monsters in this world. Let's just call them selfish versus us. We're kind of more selfless. So for a better example, if we had a full cookie and a broken cookie, and you're with a friend, right? We would most likely give the broken cookie, we would most likely take the broken cookie and give the full cookie to our friend, because it's just, I don't know, caring thing to do, I guess. But most people in this world would rather take the full cookie and give you the broken cookie, you know? And you could argue that that's like healthy selfishness or healthy egotism. But in the eyes of Pisces or 12th house Venus, it's kind of looked down upon, you know? It's almost like we just have this natural confidence that um, it's okay to give, you know? It's okay to give. Like, we're not going to suffer by giving. But other people have this, like, primal fear, like they have to take in order to survive, you know? And so they would much rather take than give because they're scared. You know, it's like they need to protect themselves, so they would much rather take than give. And we have this, like, almost universal spiritual confidence, like, I don't know, hypothetically guardian angels or just some kind of connection to the divine that kind of makes us understand that it's okay to give. Like, we're not gonna, nothing's gonna happen to us by giving. It's all gonna be okay. You know, we're fine with giving. We don't see it as weak or wrong. You know, it's totally fine. We're not intimidated or scared by it. And unfortunately, other people simply don't have that kind of mentality. Not everyone, but most people don't have that kind of mentality. You know? So that's why when it comes to finding a partner, like, this can be, this is so difficult because the 12th house is the house of suffering. So any planet that you have in the 12th house is the area of life in which you will suffer. So if we have the planet of love in the 12th house, then it's kind of obvious that, we are going to be suffering in this, place. And if you have Venus in the 12th house and you have like an amazing marriage and a success story and whichever, like, let me know. But generally speaking, Venus in the 12th house, a lot of problems. Not the worst aspect, not the worst situation, but definitely not one of the best either. It's just painful, to have a 12th house Venus. That's all it is. It's not bad. It's not, well, it's painful. It's painful because you experience the suffering of the world and you can't do anything about it. And it's also very painful because it's hard to find people that you connect with. It's difficult because you're the person that wants to give the full cookie, but all these other people don't agree with you. They're like, why are you giving you full cookie? Take it for yourself, And Venus in the 12th house just doesn't understand it. Like, we find it, not an admirable quality. And another thing which usually happens, usually, not always, but I have to mention it. We don't like PDA. So public displays of affection and public relationships and, like, saying, oh, this is my boyfriend, I'm gonna tag him all over Facebook, I'm gonna, partner with him on Facebook, I'm gonna tell my whole family and everyone about this boyfriend that I have. Not something that we like to do in general. We're very private when it comes to our love life, so we don't like other people knowing who we're doing, Very, very private, very cautious. It's almost like, when you have a secret or you have like this exciting thing and you don't want to jinx it. You don't want to tell people and make them influence it with their thoughts and stuff. You just want to keep it private to yourself so that only you can enjoy it and no one else can, like, take it away from you or talk you out of it or, ruin the experience for you. And that's kind of how it is with Venus in the 12th house. We don't really like to tell people what's happening because it's like our private little secret. We don't want anyone to tarnish it. We don't want anyone's opinion on it. We don't want people to, ruin it for us, you know? Because everyone knows that people have way too many opinions, especially parents. What if your parents don't like him? What if your friends don't like him? It's like, it shouldn't matter. And it almost feels like by revealing who we're doing and, what we're doing with them, we're taking the magic away from the whole experience. It's like it doesn't belong to us anymore. It belongs to everyone else. It's like everyone else knows about it, so it's not even our relationship anymore. It's someone else's. That's kind of how I learned to describe it because I have my moon in the 8th house in Aries. So I slipped there in Aries. So I'm naturally very private about, who I do and what I do. It's no one's business. Um, and when I do date a guy and he wants to, introduce me to mom and, all of that stuff, I get a little creeped out because I feel like, uh, you know, if everyone knows about it, it becomes such a vanilla relationship. It becomes one of those, just boring, regular relationships. And it's like, I'm not about that, I want it to be something that's unique, something that's private, something that's, people don't know about, like our little secret. And and when you tell people about it, it just ruins it, man. It just makes it just some bland thing, especially when parents get involved and it's like, ugh, it just takes all the romance out of it, you know what I mean? Um, So yeah, like for example, I was dating a Leo guy, and you know how Leos are. They want to show you off to mom and to everyone, and tell the world and show them like this is my girlfriend. Look at her, look at her. And for Pisces Venus or Venus in the 12th house, that's just like suicide, man. That just feels so like I know they have the best intentions when they do it, but it just feels so awkward. It feels so weird, it just, ugh, I don't like it. I just don't like it because, yeah, weird things go through my head like, oh, these people know that we're dating. Now they're going to imagine us, doing stuff. Like, and I don't want them to impose their thoughts on me or kind of violate me like mentally or I know that's crazy. This is my Mercury square Pluto, like being completely paranoid and over analyzing everything to oblivion. But it does go through my head. I prefer privacy regarding those matters. It's like nobody has to know. If you're getting married, like sure, but until you're married and whatever, you don't have to go around telling everyone you're a couple because, ugh, anyway, yeah. So we like our privacy, we like the secrecy, we like to keep some sort of magic, some sort of enigma going. That's what kind of gets us off in a way, I guess. Uh, yeah, so um, Venus in the 12th house is also kind of notorious for unconventional relationships. Kind of in a way like a Uranus kind of feel to it, like an Aquarius feel to it, because it is the 12th house and it is the house after the house of Aquarius. So, it still has like a little bit of that Aquarian influence, but it's already past it. So, yeah, non traditional, very kind of unorthodox relationships could happen with this placement. You could have an open relationship for a long time. You can have a sexless relationship. You can have a purely spiritual marriage. You can have something which is just very odd, like other people won't understand it. So why should you even, or maybe it's a kinky relationship, maybe you're like a little subby or, something like that. Like you don't want to go telling your mom like, oh, this is my master, or something like that. So it's just like some things are, Venus in the, if you have Venus in the second house, like something very very common. Like, yeah, you can go tell everyone, like, it's no big deal. Venus in the 12th house, you have to be a bit more careful because you might ruin the magic for these people, and then they'll just be like disappointed in love, basically, because, yeah. Um, so it's a very interesting placement, as you can see. I kind of love it and I hate it at the same time. I love it because it's so weird, and I hate it because it brings so much pain. When it comes to heartbreak, let's talk about heartbreak for a little bit because this is like the good stuff. If you have like a Venus in the second house, like just hypothetically, a heartbreak for you is kind of like, eat some ice cream, get over it. If you have Venus in the 12th house and you're heartbroken, it's gonna affect the very core of your being. You're gonna feel like you lost a relative, you know? It's gonna feel very dramatic. It's not gonna feel like, oh, it's no big deal, just get over him and whatever. Nah, it's not gonna be like that. It's gonna be very difficult, because, as I said, we feel things so deeply. Kind of similar. It's Venus in the 12th house, kind of similar heartbreak wise to Venus in Scorpio. Again, very intense feelings. And when I mean intense emotions, because like we can repeat this word 100 times and people still won't know what this means. Intense emotions, in my opinion, means when the pain turns physical. So, meaning you're hurting so much that your insides feel like they're on fire. Like you're crying so much that your eyes look like they've been stung by bees, like your top eyelids look like you've been stung by a bee. You feel a horrible ache in your stomach. You have like physical manifestations of this pain. This pain is strong. It makes you want to slit your wrists. It's not funny. It's not like, oh, just some little bad thing happened. Like, just eat some ice cream, just get together with your girlfriends. Like, no. No. This is not the case. Unfortunately, this is not the case. This is a very deep wound. And it's not easy to just forget about it. You need to take a lot of time to heal from this kind of thing. Like I said, it's truly painful. It's truly painful, and most of the other star signs or Venuses, they don't understand this pain, especially if they have no 12th house or no Pisces or even no Scorpio or no, like, basically if they don't have any water in their chart, they will understand what the hell you're talking about. They're gonna be like, it's just a breakup, just get over it. It's just, it's easy. Just like 1, 2, 3, done. Yeah, I wish. I wish. I really, really wish. But nope. So, sticking with the secrets, with the theme of secrets, Venus in 12th house can be a cheater. Now, you can get mad at me or whatever you want for me saying this, but Venus in the 12th house is it's kind of like a wolf in sheep clothing when it comes to cheating, because when you think of cheating, you would think Libra, Gemini, Sagittarius, Leo, maybe Leo. But you would never think of like a Pisces or Venus in the 12th house of being a cheater, because it's like Jesus love, universal love, blah, blah, blah. The problem is that because the love is so universal, you tend to fall in love with numerous partners. This is a very strong placement for polyamory. You can literally be in love with anything and everything. You can be in love with 5 men at the same time, and you can love them all equally, and you wouldn't know which one to choose. And that's a problem, because no man wants to have 4 brother husbands, or roommate husbands. So it's, yeah, and it's like, so who do you love? And it's like, I love everyone. You can't love everyone. Who's the one? But, like, who's the soulmate? It's like, but they're all soulmates, Everyone's a soulmate. If you love them and connect in some way, it's like everyone's a soulmate. So for this placement, it's actually very healthy to kind of keep the dating to a minimum, because there's no logic in this placement whatsoever. This person can fall in love with a tree. Like, those videos like, woman falls in love with tree. Like, it's a joke, but it's also not a joke. We tend to have so much compassion for things that we tend to misinterpret that compassion as like romantic love, And that's why many people say that the 12th house rules like monasteries and nunneries, because all of this unworldly love, if you give it to just one man, you will smother him. He's going to run away. He's not going to understand it, unless he also has Venus in the 12th house. Yeah, that would be interesting to see. So no man is able to process all of this otherworldly, compassionate love that you have. That's why many people say that for the 12th house Venus, it's very good to be religious, because you can worship, you can give all this love to Jesus, and kind of be celibate. Because, as I said, when it comes to the earthly plane, if you give all of this love to one man, he will feel overwhelmed and probably run away. If you give all this love to a number of men, you will, have a reputation and eventually lose all of them, because, it's kind of like infidelity or whatever. So it's like, you have all this love, what do you do with it? Who do you give it to? And the most logical kind of explanation would be, well, you either get into volunteer work, you like work in a local animal shelter. This is a good one. Or you give yourself to a monastery, you know what I mean? Or like a place of worship, or dedicate all of this love into some sort of humanitarian, cause. Make all this love something asexual, so not sexual, not romantic love. Care for the animals, like recycle, care for the planet, be a motivational speaker. Give this love in a non-sexual way to the world, because in relationships, it's just gonna make you sad and miserable. Because, as I said, meeting another partner with Venus in the 12th house is very rare, especially for a man, very rare. Meeting someone with, you could be okay with someone with like Venus in Scorpio or Venus in the 8th house, also a good match. They're not as compassionate as you, but they're fiercely loving. They're very loyal, and they want to give you a lot of, well, this is the tricky part, because Scorpio sometimes confuses love with intensity and obsession. They can be intensely obsessed with you and want to control you in a narcissistic way, but that's not really love, is it? That's a very Pluto kind of bullshit, very Plutonic bullshit. And so you might actually be falling for Scorpios all the time, because you confuse this intensity and their desire to control you as intense love. That's why, again, I reiterate, you have to give all this love back to the Creator, because this is not an earthly love. This is the godly love. This is the last sign. This is Jesus. This is Pisces, this is resurrection, this is very biblical, this is very godly love. Most people won't understand this. Most people are full of hate and fear. They will interpret your love as weakness, and they will bully you and throw stones at you because you're different. Because people are stupid. Most people are stupid. They don't understand compassion. Again, with Venus in the 12th house, remember that passage from the Bible when Jesus came to teach and he was just ridiculed. That's exactly what Venus in the 12th house is. I can tell you one horrible story, or an example of Venus in the 12th house in my life. I was in this summer camp, and we had physical education. So we were playing a game, basketball, whatever. And it was me, a female teacher, and 5 other girls. And I remember I told those girls that I was a vegetarian because because I think I was like 10, and I really wanted to be a vegetarian because I didn't want to eat animals because I felt sorry for them. And those girls started laughing at me, and they were like, "Oh, you're vegetarian? Do you eat leaves?" And I was like, "Oh, that's so funny. But yeah, I eat leaves. I can eat a leaf, and like I can show you, like nothing's gonna happen to me." So then they went to a tree and they picked a leaf off, and they're like, "Here, eat it, like show us." And so I was like, "Okay." And I bit off the leaf and I ate a little bit of the leaf. And they were like, "Oh my God, that's so gross, that's so disgusting." And then the lesson continued. We kind of got over it. And then when I went to my backpack, I saw that all my stuff was thrown out of my bag and I had nothing but leaves covered in soap. So those bitches went and took leaves, put soap on them to kind of make me eat it, I guess, and put it in my backpack, and all of my stuff was out of my backpack. And I went to the teacher and I showed her, and she kind of like laughed at it, like, "Oh, they were just being silly, because you're a vegetarian. Are you really a vegetarian? Like, why?" And so the teacher basically sided with them. Now, that's a very perfect example of Venus in the 12th. Like, I was trying to be compassionate and whatever, and they just didn't understand it. They acted like swine, like pigs. Like, they mistook my compassion for weakness because, yeah, and in return, they gave me evil. And I find that so insane because even though we were so young, this is exactly how people still act. You are nice to them and they just spit in your face because they don't understand this niceness. And obviously, I don't mean everyone, but in certain situations, this is what happens. And yeah, it's crazy, but it's real. It's real. It's a fact. I'm gonna be right back. I need more tea, so I'm just gonna pause the recording. So, as I was saying, I'm back, by the way. So yeah, this is a very tricky position for Venus, and I'm struggling with it probably just as much as you are, if you know you have it and you're aware of it. And I wish I had some better advice for us, but I don't. I really don't. Because I'm just as confused as you are. Like, I don't want to go to a monastery. I'm not ready to be a nun. So it's like, what do we do? I'm also not ready to settle for just anyone, because I want a partner that I can just completely obsess over. I want someone that I'm absolutely crazy about. I don't just want to settle. I want to find that, divine love. And, usually I get it from Scorpios. So, yeah, but Scorpios are very difficult. So it's a struggle, man. It's a constant struggle. I wish I had better advice for us. I really did. I mean, I really do. Yeah, so I don't know. Should I wrap it up at this point? Like, I'm not really sure what else I can mention about this Venus, other than all the stuff that I've already mentioned. Let me know in the comments if you, like, what's your experience, if you know that you have a 12th house Venus, or if you just found out. Go to astrotheme.com, put in your details and whatever, and let me know if you have it. Because, you also need your birth time to be able to find the house, Venus house. So if you have this position, let me know. Is it hard for you? Like, how do you cope with it? What do you do? Because, like, for me, it's such a struggle, man. It's such a struggle. You have no idea. Yeah. Let's see. Is there anything else that I can mention about it? I really don't know. But yeah, I'm just going to wrap it up at this point because I think this video is long enough. So let's just wrap things up and see what came out of this. So thanks, guys, for tuning in or watching, listening to my podcast, video, whatever. If you want me to talk about a specific other sign or placement, house, whatever configuration, let me know in the comments and we'll see if I can make your dreams come true. Mwah. Bye.